Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever time it is, wherever you are, whoever you are. Welcome once again to Nerd Week Live, the show in which we talk about nerd news that have happened over the past week since our last show last Tuesday, and there was this holiday in between and so on.
Really?
There
I
was,
didn't
yeah,
notice.
yeah. You didn't notice? I don't, yeah. So tonight, joining you is our I am. I'll get this English stuff down. I really will. Rodney Brown, editor in chief of Nerd Caliber. I am first person shooter on Facebook as a cosplay photographer, Burley underscore adopter on Twitter, and a couple of other places doing a bunch of things, mostly tech journalism. And joining me tonight, once again, this time with, you do have the tam? No, you got a baseball cap.
Oh no, it's the cap.
No, it is the tam. Okay. Once again, Byron, introduce yourself.
Hi guys, Byron McNeil, aka Byron D0, on multiple facets of the interwebs, contributing writer, social media consultant, and content creator. Um, I also do a little bit of art on the side. I got a nifty little webtoon series that I'm working on called Sisterhoods. If you like cyberpunk or sci-fi and you like reimaginings of earlier stories, this should be your jam. Um, Glad to be here. Glad to talk about some nerdy things as always.
Absolutely. Do check that out, folks. And before we get started, do we got anybody in the chats here? Well, we might. If you're still with us, Mimily and Ava, hi, welcome to the chat on YouTube, and feel free to jump in and say things that. Well, it looks like my video has locked up on the YouTubes. Oh, there it is, caught up to me. Um, so yeah, so feel free to say what you feel about any of the topics that we are talking about tonight. So let's jump
Shit.
right into it, folks. The first topic. This is a scene, sort of. You can tell it's been greatly digitally enhanced, but this is a scene from the latest trailer dropped last Thursday for the upcoming Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg movie Uncharted, a video game adaptation of the video game series Uncharted. Um, I've been kind of anticipating this. I kind of like the idea of Wahlberg as Sully, if for no other reason than being from Massachusetts. Mark Wahlberg as anybody named Sully is about the perfect casting you can think
Yeah,
of.
that just sounds like a given.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I gotta say this trailer has backed me off a little bit. Um,
Uh,
bring the image back up here. Those are the wrecks of a couple of ships that were apparently carrying a great deal of treasure from Ferdinand Magellan, and that's the main thing that Sully, who is a treasure hunter, recruits young Nathan Drake, Tom Holland's character, into helping him try to get this stuff. And um, the the movie trailer has at one point these 15th century, but say probably 16th century ships being hauled out of the jungle by helicopters, mostly intact.
hmm.
And if that was in a video game, I would go, okay, this is stupid, but it's a video game. Let's see, how challenging is it going to be to jump from one to the other, or whatever happens to happen has to happen in the video game. In a movie, like unless they sprayed those things down with some sort of clear plastic, you would be hauling up little tiny pieces of wood by the time it made it through the trees. Come on.
Well, that's what happens when you try to capture lightning in a bottle with these adaptations.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
a,
and I get that they want to try to get the same, the new Tomb Raider reboots were very successful, as movies. Alicia Vikander was fantastic in those, and they're trying to do the same thing. I get it.
there was a second one.
Wasn't there a second one?
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't. I only watched the first one.
Oh well, okay. Let's say with the first one then that maybe there's just news that there is a second one coming out. But okay, so at least we know for sure there was a first one and that was successful. So that's obviously what they're trying to do. Um, I just went from hey, this looks like fun to hey, this looks like stupid in 2 trailers. So still gonna check it out, but and
Definitely.
definitely check out the trailer yourself. You may actually out there, you may find yourself much more interested in this than I was. But it hit me like wow. Now, this is some of the stuff they're pulling off, trying to pull off believable stuff that would look dumb in one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. So
That's saying something.
that is saying something. All right, moving on to our next topic. And by the way, folks, because there was this little holiday thing over the weekend, we've got a pretty light topic list, so we're probably going to be out of here in about a half an hour. So just give everybody a fair warning. Those of you guys who sneak in at 8:45 often, we're going to be gone by then. This is an image that Brie Larson put out on her Twitter, and it is of Larson and Zawe Ashton, who has, I think we talked about this casting a while back, who has been cast in an unknown role in the upcoming Captain Marvel: The Marvels movie. It's Captain Marvel 2. And Larson posted, "Let the theories, let the fan theories begin," or something like that. Um, so I'm looking at this thinking, okay, who is it? Who is it? Larson is wearing a Villain Lovers Club shirt, as you can see, and Ashton is wearing a Joy Division shirt. And then
Oh,
it just
geez.
hit me. It's to me, it's 100% clear who this is, or who she's going to be playing.
I'm not as familiar with Captain Marvel lore, so
All right.
I'm
Are you familiar with X-Men lore?
yes.
Lila Cheney, Tick.
Uh, okay, not that familiar,
Yeah,
but
it's a fairly minor character. She only had one particular arc in any X-Men story. She is a mutant who is also, so her power is that she can teleport, but like insane distances, intergalactic or interstellar distances. Certainly, she is an interstellar rock star, um, kind of a punk rock star. And her first appearance is she is basically a villain. She, for some reason, is trying to steal the entire Earth. Um,
wow.
so Joy Division is a post-punk new wave band, and Ashton is wearing a Joy Division shirt. Lila Cheney, by the way, is a very important character in the Kelly Sue DeConnick run of Captain Marvel. Um, the character, it would make sense for Lila Cheney to be in this upcoming Captain Marvel movie. The Captain Marvel movies are set in outer space, or at least a big part of them are the first one, and I'm assuming a lot of this one will be. Um, and in her first appearance, Lila Cheney appears as a villain, and in that picture, Brie Larson is wearing Villain Lovers Club shirt. So I'm calling it here, and Ashton kind of looks like, picture her with sort of punky hair. Um, she can pull
I
off,
could see that.
yeah. So that's my call.
Uh, well, I mean, if they're gonna go that route, we might start seeing some pepperings of X-Men lore if we're going to be out in deep space as well.
That makes me wonder: if they are going to have her as Lila Cheney, is she going to be a mutant, or is that going to be how her powers happen? Is it even going to be a thing? Are they going to bring it up? Um, because this would be a really interesting way to sort of, like you said, start peppering some of the X Men stuff, not only in this movie but maybe upcoming movies. Um,
I mean, this would be a great time to introduce the Shi'ar Empire.
that would be fantastic. I would love to see the Shi'ar in here, mainly because the Shi'ar, even though they are X Men characters, I don't think villains or antagonists are the right because they're they're way too large a civilization and complex to be just called antagonists. Um, None of them are specifically mutants, or they're not all. The ones that are superpowered in all kinds of different ways. Um, so, yeah, that could be, and you could see, um, what's his name, Centurion, um,
Gladiator.
Gladiator, showing up in maybe Guardians 3.
That
Yeah,
would be all.
yeah. So I think it would be great. I would love to see them start doing this, start peppering some of these, and maybe part of the MCU's version of Lila Cheney's teleportation powers include interdimensional teleportation. Yeah, and we're talking multiverses. She could be coming from a part of the multiverse in which people with genetically you know born into them abilities exist. Um, so, but I'm calling it however they do it. I'm saying she's Lila Cheney. You heard it here first, folks. Um, all right, next topic. We got a couple of anime bits of news for this week, which is really cool. This is from the spring 2021, so just 6-8 months ago. Anime Odd Taxi, and the news is that there is going to be an Odd Taxi movie coming up this coming year. Actually, dropping April 1st in Japan, anyway, of this coming year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love
Now,
that time.
I'm sorry, Byron. What?
Love that timing.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I'm not sure that April 1st is an April Fool's Day in Japan like it is around here. Um, but yeah, it is. I mean, we just have to wait basically a little more than 3 months to get. Well, in Japan, I have no idea when it's going to hit the United States. That's not in the announcement. Um, and exactly what it's going to be isn't in the announcement either. The trailer is just in Japanese, so I don't know. It looks like, or the implication in this Crunchyroll article is that they might actually just be retelling the series, but in a movie format. Um,
Those are usually hit or miss.
yeah. Now, have you seen this yet?
I started it. I got such a huge back catalog that I really need to watch it because I'm all about existentialism in anime, and this seems to be chock full of it.
Oh boy, is it! Um, I have to say I'm not sure. I couldn't stop watching it. The minute I started, I binged the whole thing because I didn't watch it until the summer, so it had already finished. Um,
12 episodes, right?
yeah, it's just 12 episodes. It's standard, one half season anime. Um,
Okay.
and it is one of the best written, most amazing characters, intricate story mysteries um, in anime. It's fantastic. Um, Believe me when I say you want to get to that final episode because your mind will be absolutely effing blown. Um, so yeah, everybody out there and Byron, go watch this thing, or wait until the movie. But the series is just really well done. So I can't wait until whenever it drops. Ideally, it usually seems to take like another quarter, so like another 3 months or so before it finally hits the U.S. Movies like this.
3 months.
Yeah. So fingers crossed. All right, skipping back into the superhero world, that is of course the OG movie Batman. Actually, that's not even true because Adam West was in the Batman movie back in the 1960s. Okay. The OG 1980s plus Batman, Michael Keaton, from one of the Tim Burton movies. I'm not really sure which one that is. The news is that Michael Keaton is going to be doing yet again a return as Batman in not only The Flash, because we know about that. This news just dropped this last week in the upcoming Batgirl movie.
Interesting.
Yeah. Um, which again leads to all kinds of speculation about. So the Flash seems to be like I don't want to compare No Way Home because I haven't seen it and a lot of other people haven't yet, but it seems to be there are multiple versions of Batman um, in the Flash's storyline, which makes sense because um, it is Flashpoint, or
Mm.
seemingly it's based on Flashpoint. Um,
Might just be a watered down version.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it kind of has to be. Um, so there will be alternate universe versions of a bunch of characters. Uh, does that mean that Batgirl takes place in one of those alternate universes?
I mean, DC has basically said that they're trying to commit to this whole initiative for a multiverse. But my problem with with not Disney, I'm WBDC. What my problem with what they're doing is they're just doing a bunch of standalone films and not necessarily acknowledging the existence of these other universes. A lot of times, like you might see the occasional one in like when it's coming into the plot, like in Crisis for Infinite Earths.
Right. Um,
But
I'm guessing that the movie WBDC universe is completely separate from the CW one. Um,
yeah, but it's all. But Warner has said it's all part of the multiverse.
right. Um, but so far, you haven't seen movie to
No,
TV crossover,
no, not at all.
and you really haven't seen any other than the within the TV concept of the multiverse crossovers. You haven't seen in the movies, except for potentially when in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, when Ezra Miller's Flash comes back from the future to warn
Yeah.
him, that is sort of an alternate future. You
Yes.
know, but that's the closest thing we've got to what apparently is going to be an acknowledgement of an actual multiverse within the DC, which is going to happen when the Flash movie comes out. Um, so, anyway, it brings up all sorts of speculation about exactly where Batgirl occurs within any of the currently existing um, DC universes in the movie world, or not at all. Another one. I'm sorry, what? I missed that.
I'm not gonna get my hopes up.
Well, I mean, I like the fact, about the movie. The directors, um, you've got Adil El Arbi and Bilal Falah, who did Bad Boys for Life. Um, Christina Hodson. I remember when we talked about this. I can't remember what her writing credits are, but they're pretty solid for nerd stuff. Um, but then J.K. Simmons, Brendan Fraser, and Leslie Grace from West Side Story um, as Batgirl. So yeah, the people involved look solid.
So I guess this means Jeffrey Wright won't be reprising his role as Commissioner Gordon.
Yes. No, he will not.
I
Um,
mean, it wouldn't make sense if we had an older Batman same age. So.
right. Yeah. No. In this case, so because J.K. Simmons is going to be Gordon, it's clearly set in the Zack Snyder, or one would assume anyway.
Okay,
Now, um,
she's mixed.
yeah. Um, but then again, technically, Wonder Woman is so. And Wonder Woman was a much better movie, the first one, not 1984.
You know, talk about '84.
Yeah, really shouldn't. All right, moving on. Back to another piece of anime news. That is a really massive cast image that's actually from the teaser that dropped for My Hero Academia Season 6, which will be coming up sometime in, I believe it's the fall of 2022. So we don't have an exact date, but it will be fall of 2022. The trailer looks really interesting. It is adapting the Paranormal Liberation War arc from the manga.
Yes.
Um,
It's a turning point in the series.
uh, I was reading this article on comingsoon.net. The arc from the critically acclaimed anime. It's like, wait, you're adapting an arc from an anime into an anime? That's a typo there, somebody. Um, but one of the interesting things about this image, it's probably not large enough on your screen to see, but the only UA student that you can see clearly in this is like 2, 3 rows in the back from the front. On the right hand side is, and I'm sorry I can't remember his name, Electro Boy.
Kaminari.
Kaminari.
Oh, I see. I see one of the girls from 1B up here also.
Which one?
Mushroom Girl.
Oh, good. Yes, good eye. Yep, good one. So 2 students, as far as I can tell. And I may be missing some of the other, like the 1B students and so on. Analyze this image when you find it yourself, at your leisure. But it seems to be that this is going to be a war. Every hero versus everybody on the Liberation Army side. So,
Yes.
I found. I don't want to get into spoilers for season 5. I found let's call them the ramping up of the stakes by changes to some of the villains to be in the last season, in season 5, to be literally just such a blatant, okay, we got to make this really bad, so so there are stakes, type of move. I was like, okay, I mean, I understand that, playing your hand, sometimes you actually have to see how the sausage is made, but this is just like, yeah, I get it. These guys all have to become more powerful, so things look more dangerous for Deku and everybody else. It's like, anyway.
Yeah, Horikoshi definitely has he definitely has those moments where he isn't as strong as writers he likes to think he is.
Yeah. Now, having said that, for the most part, this is still one of the best shonen action based around kids learning how to do their stuff in a school that I've ever seen, because it doesn't do one of the things that absolutely pisses me off. It's one of the reasons why I could never finish Fairy Tail, is that in My Hero Academia, people learn new skills, better ways to use their skills every season, and it's a progression you can watch, and they don't forget what they learned 2 seasons ago, which is not the case with Fairy Tail.
What you mean? You mean the one to Lightning Dragon mode, or
Yeah.
God Dragon Slayer mode, only used one time?
Yep. I couldn't take it. And My Hero Academia does not do that. Everything that Deku is right now, he earned, and we watched him earn it.
Yes.
And it's that if there's no other aspect of the series that I really appreciate it and the mangaka's writing, that's it. Really worthwhile.
I I know I've seen YouTubers mention how the narrative of My Hero Academia is more like everyone does it on their own. It's like I don't see it that way. I see it more like they support, they get support when they absolutely need it, and that's one of the strengths that I saw in the My Villain Academia arc.
Yeah,
you got to see them. I mean, it didn't make me feel bad for the villains, but it definitely humanized them.
Yeah, to some extent. I think they've done a better job with that in other arcs with other villains. Stain,
Yeah.
you can really 100% understand where Stain is coming from.
Oh yeah.
There's no question he's a villain, but you get why he's the way he is.
Mm.
Um, and I don't think they did quite to that level of making a villain empathetic uh, in the in the villain arc. Um, but
Well, I mean, you still gotta hate him at the end of the day.
hmm?
You still have to hate them.
Oh yeah, well yeah, that's the idea. Is that even if you understand, um, and yeah, I guess they did a pretty good job with. Again, I'm sorry about names. It's been so long since I've seen the season, but Hands guy, the leader of the
Shigaraki.
yeah, they did a pretty good job of explaining why, but you don't sympathize with him. You understand why he's the way he is, but right from the get go, he was just psychopathically terrible. Um, anyway, that is a completely different argument. This has nothing to do with season. Well, it is a continuation of season 5, of course, but this is about season 6. Check out the teaser. It's pretty impressive looking. I am looking forward to it, if for no other reason than to get something really happening from what I felt was kind of a not really anything happening season 5.
And I'm excited for this because I know that there have been rumors we're getting into the end game of the manga. So
Yeah, I think what was that? He said recently that he sees where this should wrap up, which means maybe within a year. But then he also said that there are circumstances where if for some reason that his planning doesn't go exactly the way he thinks, then it could be longer than that. So, um, but
you
yeah,
could force a time skip.
yeah, and then there could be a time skip when it's no longer about high school students. Yeah, it looks like they come right out of high school and go straight to work. So I don't think there's a my college academia. Um, anyway, on to our next to the last topic. This is a character from League of Legends. I don't know who it is. I don't play League of Legends. I remember I had this because it was somebody introduced 2 years ago, I think, into the game in a new wave of characters or some expansion or something. But anyway, it has nothing to do with the character. The news is about the fact that Riot just settled. Exactly. We're chuckling because it's good news. The lawsuit that was brought against it back in 2018 by female employees, a both discrimination and harassment suit, and they have agreed to settle this for $100 million. Tynan Gladud, welcome to the show. 100, folks, million dollars. It's 20 million in legal fees, and then $80 million to go to the settlement class, whoever is within the affected class of people in this class action lawsuit, which could be a couple of thousand. During this time, Riot apparently had a little over 1,000 actual on the books employees and 1,300 female employees and 1,300 female contractors. So that 80 million could be parsed out over a couple of thousand people.
Mm-hmm.
That's still a lot of money. The best part about this is that Riot tried to settle this in 2019 for $10 million and had an agreement in place with the lawyers. And the California Department of Fair Employment, I'm going to get the name wrong, the same people that are suing Activision Blizzard. Department of Fair Employment and Housing, the DFEH, stepped in and said, no, this deal should be worth potentially as much as $400 million. And threw it back. And so they renegotiated, and the DFEH has said, okay, 100 million works, not 10. So Riot tried to get away with 1/10 of what it is currently paying, and California
Yeah.
went, nope, pay up for real. And that for real is now $100 million.
Tastes like karma.
Tastes like karma. Now, the problem is Blizzard's settlement, the DFEH tried to stop that as well, and a court in California ruled that they couldn't, despite the fact that they already had, so there was already precedent of them interfering in the Riot case. So, I don't know whether the DFEH is trying to appeal that court decision and whether or not they can also step in, because I'm sure Riot or Blizzard is not, if Riot tried to settle for 10 million, Blizzard's probably going to try for 10 or 20, and is probably should be on the hook for 200 or 400 million. But anyway, this is also, by the way, has nothing to do with. There is a separate individual complaint against Riot CEO Niccolo Laurent that was that hit the courts in 2020 in this year in 2021, claiming that he harassed a former employee. So there's potentially more money about to be parsed out by the good folks at Riot. So, more power to the people who are standing up for themselves, and you got to stop this. Come on, game businesses. Jeez, how can you be this misogynistic, backwards, caveman, idiotic tool bags? It just blows my mind.
I wish I could say I was surprised, but here we are.
Here we are. I honestly, I've been covering games for years and years, but mostly here in Massachusetts. So I was covering Patios. I don't know what that particular thing that you were trying to say was. So YouTube said I should hide it, so I hid it. So I was covering companies like Irrational Games, the makers of BioShock and so on, and Ken Levine and people like that. And that company, that's nothing that would ever happen at a company like Irrational. So to me, it was kind of shocking that there was this culture, among game development companies, Harmonix, making Rock Band and so on. Nothing like that. At least in anything I've ever seen or heard anybody report in all the years I covered any of those companies. So when I did hear that these companies out in California were just, particularly Riot first, was because that was Kotaku's broke that first, were just, dens of basically incel, misogynistic jackasses. I was shocked, I have to say. Now, of course, I'm not. Anytime another, whether it's Ubisoft or Quantic Dream or the shoes just keep dropping. So, anyway,
I don't know. Maybe it's just my own cynicism in the gaming industry, or just geek culture in general. But that's it's true. Hard for me to be surprised about this kind of stuff anymore.
And I certainly was aware of this, tendency within the cosplay community for years before 2018 when the first Kotaku report dropped. So, yeah, I guess you're right. I should have been able to extrapolate one from the other. Anyway, our last topic. This is a screen grab from the trailer that just dropped over the weekend of The Batman, the latest trailer that really focuses on the relationship between Batman and Catwoman, and also gives you a lot more of a look at the riddles, although that's not quite exactly the way they're presented in this movie, from the Riddler. And I like it. I'm 100% into it. he's still, portrayed as kind of a guy really working through some stuff with his fists, but much more humanized by his interactions with Catwoman in this. So I like the trailer. I thought it was a really good addition and fleshes out the character for a lot of people who have been complaining that it's like, oh, it's Robert Pattinson being really pissed off. Like,
I
yeah,
mean, that's that isn't that who Batman is essentially? Just a very angry one percenter.
yeah, pretty much. Except that often in the comic book anyway, Batman is presented much more level-headed and cool-headed. Uh, you know, he delivers beatdowns, but doesn't seem to enjoy it in the comics.
Yeah,
Um,
but he's also a younger Batman.
exactly, and this is only 2 years, so this would be a lot of the storyline elements are from Batman Year One, but this is more like Batman Year Two, that particular comic run, because this
Yeah.
is his second year doing this. Um, So yeah, and it makes sense. I mean, that you're right. He was definitely a rougher character in the Batman Year One and Year Two storylines. But I like this. It's a good trailer. I think even in just this trailer, Zoe Kravitz has a couple of line reads where I'm like, okay, that isn't the way I would have thought an actress would have put that line out, and yet it's now perfect for that line. Oh, so I'm really looking forward to her performance in this now, maybe even more than Pattinson's.
She looks perfect in that outfit,
Well, there is that too. Um,
especially with those goggles.
yes. Yeah, if we're getting into that, yeah, she is fantastic in that outfit.
I'm just saying, she looks like she jumped right out of the comic book pages.
Yep. So March 4th of this coming year, and also dropped this week, is the fact that this will, and apparently all WB movies going forward, be in theater only for at least the first 45 days, and then very much like what Disney is doing with their content that eventually winds up on Disney Plus, it's a 45-day exclusive window. In fact, almost exactly like what Disney is doing. Which is a complete change. WB had up until the end of this year, like literally right up until the end of this year, The Matrix Resurrections, date release. It was on HBO Max the same day it was in theaters. That's not going to be the case going forward. 2022 they're going to be all theatrical only until 45 days, which means that we've got until March 4th for Omicron to disappear. Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
that gonna happen? No. Um, yeah, it's just, I understand what they're trying to do here, and certainly they are very flexible. Disney proved that when it decided to change its date to theater exclusive for a lot of its movies, like Shang-Chi and the Eternals, and now of course with Sony, Spider-Man: No Way Home. Um, so maybe Warner Brothers will change its tune in another couple of weeks or a month when we get to the end of January and everybody's going, "Holy crap!" What? No. Yes, fewer people are dying, but more people are in hospitals than even at the height of Delta. What's going on here? And that will be where we're at, folks. Absolutely guaranteed. Um, but maybe they'll change their mind. Who knows? Um, however, I wind up seeing it. I'm really looking forward to it now, particularly even more than ever because of Zoe Kravitz's performances in just these clips. And I mean, I really like Paul Dano. I think Paul Dano is one of the best, young character actors. Paul Dano is going to be in 30 years, that generation's Chris Cooper. Somebody who's done 30, 40 years of just perfect character acting stuff. Um, I
I feel more. The next Viggo Mortensen, maybe.
I don't think Dano is ever going to do any heroic. So Viggo Mortensen is in fact a fantastic character actor, but a lot of his stuff is lead character, and a sort of heroic. You know, A History of Violence is an amazing action movie. In addition to being a very, very wonderfully acted, deep character study, and of course Aragon. Um, yeah, I don't know that Mortensen is the right kind of comparison. You know,
Fair enough.
I think it's more like Chris Cooper, who was the head of Treadstone in the first Matt Damon um, the Bourne movie, and Homer Hickman, so dad, Jake Gyllenhaal's dad in October Sky, and just one of those guys that you see him and you go, oh yeah, all right, it's going to be a perfect role. And I think Dano is going to be like that. Anyway, that's it, folks. That is this week's Nerd Week Live. Byron, do you have a could we please, could we not?
Uh, could we not put too much pressure on ourselves for the new year? Like, I know everyone's all about new year, new me, but be kind to yourself.
Yep.
Don't put too much pressure on yourself for self improvement, because in the end of the day, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yep. I saw a great meme. I can't remember if it was Instagram or Facebook or wherever, but somebody saying it's like, 2022, no resolutions. Universe, it's time for you to change for me. And I'm like, yes, please. Omicron, GTFO.
Yes.
And an awful lot of other things that are going on right now. But anyway, so I'll agree with that. I don't have one of my own. I will agree with that 100%. Be good to yourself out there, people. While you're being good to yourself, if you get a chance, please do check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/nerdcaliber. Love to have you as a patron if you decide you would like to help us get to more cons, get you more content for YouTube here, for the website nerdcaliber.com, and so on. Just 3 tiers, $2 for the lowest tier. Go check it out if you're of a mind to. It'd be great. And Thursday, 2 nights from now, full fat spoiler chat, Hawkeye. Thwop, exactly. Be there or don't. It'll be a spoilery show. We're going to be talking about all sorts of things.
It's in the name.
It's in the name. It's full fat spoiler chat. So if you've seen it, or if you don't mind spoilers, please do check us out Thursday, 8 o'clock. And we will see you at one of those upcoming shows. Please stay safe out there, folks. A lot of people are in the coming back from the holidays travel mode. I hope your travel plans are going well and aren't being canceled by all of these airlines that are canceling. But
Be extra careful out there.
yeah,
I have one of my bosses is on quarantine right now, so it's no joke.
yeah, it is no joke. So be safe, folks. Wear the mask. Keep the social distance. Do the smart stuff. And we will